five-time All-Star Marques Johnson.
Alongside Marques Johnson.
What's up, everybody? Hey, this is the Here District, captain of this vessel. And I got my first mate, my number one son, Chris Johnson.
What up? Talk to me.
Holla!
Let it rain, man. Let it rain.
I guess what? We're going back into the show Friday.
Can't pass us all the breakfast.
Can't pass.
Go fight. Welcome everybody to the Here District, Marques Johnson.
You're listening to a Bucks Plus audio production on the Bucks Plus Network.
Your weekly pulse on the Milwaukee Bucks, straight from a Bucks legend. This is Here District with Marques Johnson, alongside his son and 1995 NCAA champion, Kris. Here's MJ.
All right, welcome to Here District, Marques Johnson. I'm the captain of this vessel on this fantastic voyage, and I've got my first mate. Hey, Kris, what's up?
I'm good. How are you, MJ?
All right. Everything's good. We're just talking with only father and son duo in the history of college basketball to win an NCAA championship at the same school. So that's something that I don't care what happens, Kris. They'll never be able to take that away from us.
Feels good.
Never.
Feels good,
Never.
baby. Feels good.
But listen, let me get right into it. We've got, man, I've been waiting to get this guy on for years, man. I've been looking for him for years, man. We for years. We've got the senior vice president of game scheduling for the NBA, for all of the NBA, Tom Carelli. Tom, welcome to Here District.
Thank you very much. And as I said, I'm in the presence of history here with you guys having won at the same place at the famed UCLA. So congratulations to you guys. So obviously you guys know a hell of a lot more about basketball than I'm going to ever, but be that as it may, I'll do the best I can to try and answer questions.
Well, in that regard, just give us a little bit of your background. Did you play the sport on some level? How long have you been with the NBA? Just give us the Tom Carelli kind of resume here in a nutshell.
No, I'm better off saying I barely played in high school.
Okay.
But I've been at the NBA since 1990.
Okay.
I actually another one of my notes here. One of my first years as an intern was the 83-84 season, which I think was your last year in Milwaukee. Is that right?
84. Yes, it was.
Okay. So I was the Celtics radio producer back there. Spent 6 years producing the Celtics on radio, and then I've been at the NBA since 1990. Spent the first 27 years working in broadcasting. Even back when you were doing the games in Seattle with Mr. Calabro and the Sonics were there, and then now on to Milwaukee as well. So been around in the same circles for quite some time.
All right.
But now working primarily and really exclusively on game scheduling stuff.
And how long exclusively on games? How do you fall into that that kind of a job, just exclusively with game scheduling?
Yeah, I mean, quick answer. I spent a lot of years working with our TV partners, with NBC first and Turner, then with ESPN and ABC and Turner. And when the man who preceded me, Matt Winnick, was retiring, they said, you've been doing the TV scheduling stuff with Matt for years, so, well, you seem to know the most about this, and Matt's retiring, so, we'd like you to be part of this moving forward. And so that's where I am now.
Now, when you were doing it with Matt Winnick, I mean, it was this. How much were computers involved back in those days? And did you rely on them just as much, or was it more just manual stuff? You guys had to figure stuff out.
It was a very different time. Number one, it was a very different way of doing things. Literally, Matt would create one game at a time, in these little red and blue squares, right? The blue squares were the home games and the red squares were the road games. And you'd say, okay, October 22nd, Milwaukee, October 23rd, I'm sorry, Milwaukee at Philadelphia opening night, that'll be on ESPN. Okay, 1,279 games to go. When we took over, it was like, okay, I know a little bit about it. What I do know is that technology now allows us to do a lot more things much faster, much more powerful, and have a lot of different options looking at it. We spent a lot of time on that. We spent a lot of time talking with the other leagues about how they do things, and we learned a lot. And what we learned was there's, by making it a constraint-based optimization program, which God love my Boston College education, but I didn't know what that meant when I was there. I didn't take math when I was there. I probably should have. I would have been much better served. But that's how it works now. It's an optimization program, and you basically tell the computer, you write constraints for everything you want it to do and things you want it to avoid. And then it can create millions and millions of candidate schedules, and then the people can review them, and then we can make tweaks to that, and then we can create and release the final schedule.
Now, did I read somewhere where that computer creates literally billions? Was that the right number? Billions of scheduling
It can,
possibility?
Sure. Okay. It can, sure.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not a math major. I'm not a math major either. That just boggles my mind. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Exactly. So, but we decided that was a better way, and a more efficient way, and given where we are now, with a lot more issues we have to deal with, is a better way of controlling for how it can be created.
And Tom, so help me get a picture here of this. Do you literally, when you guys are doing the schedule, do you take into consideration, like on a per date basis, like other leagues, what they got going on, like play football, hockey? I don't know what's in season, but like, is that something that you guys enter in the prompts to avoid conflicts and things like that?
Yes. Okay. So this is you asked, Chris, so I'm going to try and explain as best I can a little bit of how the bratwurst is made. Okay. We sent last year on opening night, we sent a request for dates to all the teams. And we said, fill in the calendar, tell us everything you have on the calendar in your arena, and then mark every date either not available because of, let's say, Disney on Ice, or it is available, or it might be available because the 11 teams that are co-tenants with the NHL, they've promised X number of those dates to the NHL. Okay, so then we take that and we look at it and we say, all right, we start plugging in all that information. Now, to your question on the NHL, yes, obviously, the 11 buildings we have that share that, we have to work very closely with them. We have to work very closely, as I was talking earlier, about the NFL, right? So we have certain cities where you would like to avoid playing on the same day or night as an NFL team. You have certain ones that really can't, like Philadelphia, where they share the parking facilities, and it's a logistic nightmare. So we just avoid those, okay? We have other ones where, for example, when the college football playoff game is going to be in Atlanta this year, the Hawks are not going to play on that day, obviously, okay, because the building is right across the street. So there's a lot of those, and then we start going through and we start figuring out how we're going to get our 167 national televised games in there. We're going to try and figure out how free agency changes, draft picks, trades, etc., are going to impact the schedule. Then we're going to look at, so we're all doing all that. As I mentioned, we're going to look at when the NFL releases their schedule. We're going to ask everybody to then review every date they have. Has anything changed? And then we'll do the same thing again when the NHL releases their schedule. They're generally a couple of weeks ahead of us, which on the one hand is good for us because then we get a lot of dates back. Like say Chicago had, given a bunch of dates to the Blackhawks that were not used. Those dates can come back and potentially be used by the Bulls. I will tell you this, that, in the years that we've done this, we've had more concert cancellations and changes and tour changes than I've ever seen before. And the latest one was Aerosmith, where they had to cancel their tour and essentially go into retirement on August 13th, which was as we were about to release the draft schedule. and we start scrambling around going, all right, who has them, and can we get those dates back? So it's constantly evolving. We're changing dates all the time.
So you're responsible for putting Aerosmith into retirement. Okay, well that's
no. Much to my chagrin, I sadly never got to see Tyler and them. But on the one hand, I was like, well, if they're going to retire, at least they're retiring before we release the schedule.
That's a good deal. Good deal. So now here's the question let me stop beating around the bush here. This is the question that most Buck fans want to get an answer from you, Tom Carelli, head of senior vice president of game scheduling for the NBA. You work alongside Evan Wash, who is the head of basketball analytics for all of the NBA. Why no Christmas game for the first time in 6 years? The Buck fans look at that as an affront. 6 years in a row, and all of a sudden we see the Spurs and the Knicks and the Celtics and the Sixers and the Lakers. Why no Bucks, Tom, on Christmas Day? What goes into that?
It's definitely not an affront at all. I mean, I think that the one thing that we have with Christmas is that we're really fortunate. We have a lot of teams that could be considered as Christmas games. I think the other piece, but there's only 10. There's only 10 slots.
Yeah.
Right. So we have the same argument every year that some team feels they get left out. And what we do is we look at it in terms of 1 and 1A. Right. So Christmas, if you want to say, is opening week is 1A, okay. And getting a game on opening week is as important. It may not feel that way to some teams, but the fact that you guys are Milwaukee is opening at Philadelphia as the first game of the ESPN broadcast schedule is a big deal.
Sure.
Like I said, not everybody can play on Christmas, right? And yes, I can see, and I've heard from, teams through the years and fans of being upset about that. But I really say that, opening week is the next biggest tentpole we have.
Yeah. Well, do you know off the top of your head, just so the Bucks 6 years in a row Christmas Day game, do you know what other teams might have exceeded that streak? Just off the top of your head, if you don't, that's fine too.
I don't.
Okay.
I think,
but the Knicks played,
the
and
Knicks. The Knicks and the Lakers have played probably the most number of Christmas games.
Okay.
Over the course of the history of the league.
I mean, 6 is a lot. Six years in a row. I mean, I don't hear the guys complaining. Just a time with the family and all that. And we've been in New York the last couple of Christmases. It's been a good thing, but I don't know. I mean, it's time for a break. But you mentioned something.
Marcus, I might ask you a question. Like when you were playing, I don't think there was. I might be wrong, but I don't think there was the interest in playing on Christmas. I don't think there was the badge of honor of playing on Christmas, because there weren't 5 games in those days.
Right.
And guys were like, really? Like,
well,
I will tell quick story, right? So when I first started doing this, I was a Celtics radio producer back in the late 80s. And one of the deals was I got to go to the Celtics game at the Garden on Christmas. And my mom and dad at the time lived in New Jersey. So I was like, Mom, I get to come home for Christmas. And she's like, oh, that's great. I said, yeah, one catch. I have to go to the game in the afternoon. And my mother, swear to God, she says to me, Tom, don't they know it's Christmas? I'm like, yes, Mom. Yes, they do. But this is how we get paid. This is a big part of how we get paid. So now every year when we release the schedule, I know my mother's looking down at me and going, don't they know it's Christmas, Tom?
Well, and so my Christmas game day story is, and I didn't participate, but I was like 16 years old, Tom, and the Buffalo Braves and Bob McAdoo, they were on a Christmas Day game, and they did an interview at Bob's home with his beautiful wife. He had an Afghan hound, Chris, in the background, the beautiful dog, and the beautiful Christmas. The staging was just beautiful. They were talking about Christmas and all that, and I think Bob was leading the league in scoring, an MVP at that time. But watching that at 16 at Crenshaw High School, Tom, I was always like, man, I would just love to kind of be in that position, to have the beautiful wife and the Afghan and the Christmas tree, and to be playing on Christmas Day, how live that would be. But I can't remember us ever I mean, nobody, in terms of just small market teams back in those days, the Knicks were on Christmas a lot, as you mentioned, the Lakers, but man, I don't remember us ever being on Christmas Day, and it never was like we felt slighted or a big deal, so.
Right. There was only one or two games.
Yeah.
For many years, there was really only one.
One game,
and,
right.
Yeah. And then it became, 2 and 3, and now we're up to 5.
Yeah.
And, it's still it's obviously still a very big deal. But like I said, I think opening week is the next, is definitely the 1A to that Christmas.
Tom, I had a quick question about just the thought process and how you determine back-to-backs. The Bucks have like around 16. I believe the Clippers have 16. How is there a determination or factors that you use to evaluate which teams get the most versus which teams don't get as many?
It's not a reward or penalty. I think part of it is proximity to other teams, to where you can get to easily. I think that's part of it. I think, just trying to keep it as balanced as possible. I mean, as I mentioned earlier, we constrain for that. So the range is, I think it's 13 to 16 this year. Marcus, when you were playing, even when we started doing this, we were playing, teams had as many as 22, 23, 24 back-to-backs.
Yeah.
Marcus, the last year you were in Milwaukee, I found a 3 in a row at San Diego, at Phoenix, at Denver.
Wow.
A 3 in
and
a
you
row,
know what?
okay.
A three in a row. Okay. And he had 19 and 9 in the last game in Denver where you're flying into altitude. Okay.
MJ.
And then finished with a 4 and 5, which was the other thing we
4 days,
was
4 games in 5 days.
4 games in 5 days, right? Which was one of the things that we were charged with, get rid of this.
Right.
One of the things that we prided ourselves on was talking to as many people as we could, trying to get what was important to the teams, the players, the coaches, the general managers, presidents of the business side, whatever, and trying getting feedback. And universally, two things came back. One was eliminating 4 and 5s.
Yeah.
Right. Because, I've been to all the buildings. I've seen games in every one, but I've never traveled. I've never done, back-to-backs, 4s and 5s. And Larry Bird said to me, we get back-to-backs. It's part of the deal. But the 4th game in 5 nights, by the time you get to that last one, if you can get rid of that, that would be a big step.
Yeah.
Okay.
My rookie year, Tom, quick story. We had 3 and 3 nights, right? And I probably averaged 40 minutes a game my rookie year, and I was a rebounded fool. Only as George McGinnis used to say, he rebounds really good for a guy 6'4". I'm really 6'5" and a half, 6'6" at that time. But George McGinnis had to throw that in there. So I'm rebounding like crazy. Averaged like almost 11 rebounds a game as a rookie. So 3 and 3 nights, 40 minutes a game, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, if I'm not mistaken. But that Monday, I called into Gene Schuler, our secretary. I said, Gene, I can't make it. We had a practice schedule. I can't make it to practice. She said, Nelly said you'd call, Marcus. Don't worry. Just enjoy your day off. We'll see you for the game tomorrow night. We had a 4th game in 5 days that next night. And so those 3 and 3, you talk about murder. Sidney Moncrief, I remember with the bad knee, he played like about 42, 43 minutes a game in 3 and 3 nights. And we're so glad you got rid of those. But talking about the back-to-backs, now what I read, Evan Walsh, was he works closely with you, but he was talking about how there were 20 of them in 2014. About 2 or 3 years ago, that average was knocked down to about 13 and a half. You know how many there are this season in terms of average back-to-backs?
Yeah, it's 14.9. It's a little bit more than last year. Okay. I think one of the things that we've really worked on was trying to create, in some cases, back-to-backs for teams that are going to Los Angeles. So they play the Clippers and Lakers back-to-back. Okay. For teams playing, creating what we call baseball series, right? Where you're going to go and you're going to play both games of a matchup against the same team. Yeah. Okay. So if it's a back-to-back, if you don't have to travel, that's the best kind. Yeah. Right. Or a home back-to-back, right? Which we never used to do back in the old days. And we decided that if we're going to have back-to-backs, those are definitely better, right? Those are definitely better. The New York, Brooklyn ones, the LA, LA ones and the home back-to-backs.
Right. Well,
So,
what I read, Tom, was that I mean, you got to squeeze in 82 games, 170 days. I don't know if expanding the amount of days is an option or not, but you talk about Christmas and the All-Star break and all that. And that if you didn't have back-to-backs, now teams are playing every other day. And so there's basically no time to practice, no 2 or 3 days in between. So back-to-backs do serve a real kind of valuable purpose from a coaching standpoint in terms of practice time.
yes, I agree with that. I think the other thing was, when we added the NBA Cup, that created a whole new set of constraints that you have to try and work around. And one of the things, and Chris, to your point, was, the games of the Cup, the NBA Cup, none of the games will be played on the second night of a back-to-back. So if you're playing a Cup game on a Tuesday, you're not playing on Monday. If you're playing a Cup game on Friday, you're not playing on Thursday. So those are mandatory constraints. Okay. The other ones are like try to limit it from, equitable fashion around the league. But the Cup ones were very important. The TV games, the Christmas games, the ABC Saturday games, all the games of opening week on TV are not part of back-to-backs. The Sunday games are not part of the Sunday ABC games are not part of back-to-backs. The other thing we did was we reduced the number of TV games overall that are on the second night of a back-to-back, a 24% decrease from last year. Again, in trying to maximize the national TV appearances we have of our teams, and understanding that the schedule marches on, and you're not going to be perfect, and there's 167 games, and there's no way that you can constrain to protect all of them. Especially in the stretches of the season where we're basically on national TV every single night. There's no way to protect that. So you just do the best you can, and you try and prioritize them as best you can.
So how did it shake out that the Bucks, that we get the Sixers for the third year in a row on an opening night? Does Doc Rivers' connection, does the storylines have anything to do with that? How's that figured out?
Storylines are definitely part of it. Storylines are definitely a part of all the matchups we try and create. I think that, any sort of objective view of the league would say that you guys are the top teams in the conference, right? And if we're going to try and maximize what we have to get off to a good start, those are the games people want to see. And so we're putting it out there for our national TV audience. And what better chance do we have than that, right? So, the Celtics by winning, as you guys recall, have to play on opening night. They get their rings, so they're on Tuesday, right? So now, okay, where do you go on Wednesday? And then where do you go on Thursday? Where do you go on Friday? It's not just opening night. There's then all the other nights that follow it that you have to. We have 4 straight days of national TV doubleheaders that we have to get in there. And so that one, while it's repetitive, I think it's incredibly valuable. Yeah. And it's the first game on ESPN's calendar.
Giannis versus Embiid. I mean, that is something that is just off the hook.
Exactly.
Like literally, come on.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. No, I'm not complaining.
Okay.
Dame had 30. Dame had 39. Dame got out the shoots quickly against the Sixers. Sure. So there's no complaints. Sure. I'm just curious how it happened that way.
Last one for me, Tom. The Celtics, the Bucks have them 3 times in 2024. None in the second half of the season. Is that how things just shook out?
Of the things we constrain for, we try to spread them out as much as possible. I don't think there's the strident constraint on that perhaps there used to be. I think just looking at it, your Laker games are 6 days apart, but 2 time zones apart, right? It is. I mean, in an ideal world, those are spread more apart. On the other hand, then if we're doing baseball series, sometimes you don't do that. You play both of the games against the team, close to one another.
And then finally, Evan Wash. I mean, he works closely with you. Is there a lot of overlap in terms of what you guys do? Or does he handle the analytics and explain what the analytics are to people that maybe don't understand completely?
We've got a whole team of people that do this, right? And Evan leads his group, the basketball strategy and analytics group, and he has a woman there, Sejal Dua, who is the brain of this entire operation. She's the one who is watching the computer, watching it create billions and billions of schedules and telling us which ones we should go look at and which ones you can let fly by and you don't have to pay attention to.
Right.
And they've got people behind them that help support what they're trying to create. On our side of the coin, Gene Lee and Matt Baresi, who work with me, work very closely with ESPN and Turner and trying to figure out what they're going to want, the appearances, the games, the matchups, the windows that are important. We found a few years ago on ESPN, that the Wednesday night leading into Thanksgiving was a real great opportunity for us to do well. So that's sort of like another potential tentpole that we use there. The day that they do the NCAA reveal show, and then next day, the Monday after, where there's nothing else, right? That becomes another big window for us. So everybody's pitching, trying to get the best schedule we can. Evan's brilliant. Evan and Sage, they're just really, really super brilliant people. Evan can look at the schedule and say, well, if we move this here, we move these 3 other games here, and this makes a great improvement on what the computer has done, because the computer does 90% of the work. And then people like Evan and a few others that work with us, sort of fine tune it and create the final version. That we try and make it win-wins when we move a game from the draft version to the final version.
Well, look, man, Tom, we thank you for being here. It's Tom Carelli, Senior Vice President of Game Scheduling for the NBA. And look, you wouldn't be doing your job if you didn't get complaints. You're great podcast.
No, exactly.
You're great podcast fodder, man. You give us stuff to talk about, man. So we appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Awesome. Thank you very much for the interest. I really appreciate it. I look forward to seeing you guys having a great season. I think Doc having a whole year to work with the guys, I think will be terrific. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and we got more back-to-backs than anybody else, or as many as anybody else. And that means we've got more practice days in between. So Doc's got to be happy about that, man.
Right, exactly.
We appreciate that. Tom Carelli.
Tell him you're welcome.
All right, man. Thank you, man. Thank you. Appreciate you, man. Thanks, you so
guys.
much.
Good luck this year.
Thanks, Tom.
Welcome, everybody, to the fantastic voyage as we are about to embark upon another leg of this great voyage of ours with the Milwaukee Bucks. This is Here District. I'm Marques Johnson, joined by my son, Kris Johnson, the only 2 father and son tandems to win a national championship.
Who's the second tandem?
At the same school. At the same school. Me and you. The other dads and sons have done it. The Bibbies, the May, Scott, and Sean. But
the Waltons. The
Waltons. Cannot forget the Walton crew. But at the same school, UCLA, 20 years apart. So, man, I'm excited, man. This is that time of year when we figure out and find out who we are going to play. The schedule is out, Kris. The NBA schedule came out.
We're basketball sickos, MJ. We await the drop of the schedule. That's what sickos do, my man.
Just how deep are you into it than that? You are excited, not about the actual playing of the games, but just having a physical schedule in front of you to look at, to circle and look at and mark up and look at some of these tough situations. Now, you made some interesting observations. Why don't you jump into that and tell us what you think so far?
Well, from a Bucks perspective, just looking at the schedule, it looks like they played the Celtics 3 times this year in 2024. So only 3 times. The season series is going to be over by December, right? But look at this. They also have 16 back-to-backs on the year. Stuff gets thick in March. They have a grueling stretch on the road where it's basically going to be a make or break time. Here's my thinking. I'm trying to think back, and I'm trying to think about last season, back-to-backs. MJ, give me some insight. How do we do in back-to-backs, just as an overall performance from the Bucks last season, back to back, baby.
You're asking me for specific records or just an overall?
From your recollection,
I thought we did pretty well. I thought we did pretty well in the second game of back-to-backs. I mean, historically, this team has performed admirably in the second game of back-to-backs. I don't have exact numbers right in front of me, but I'm sure you do.
I don't. No, I don't.
Like,
I wish I did. I do.
Yeah.
Modus, maybe Modus does by the end of this call.
Maybe our producer Modus can get us something on that. Modus Khan, Mr. Resourceful can hop on that. But so 16 back-to-backs, and how does that pan out compared to other teams? That's got to be up there, like number 1 or 2 in terms of the most back-to-backs.
Yeah, definitely number 1, tied with your old team, the LA Clippers.
Okay.
One of your other old teams, the Golden State Warriors. They have 14 back-to-backs. I can't believe they gave the Kings 16 back-to-backs as well. So the Bucks are tied with the Kings and the Clippers with 16 back-to-backs. Right. Warriors 14, Lakers 13, and then the Suns 15 back-to-backs. So that seems to be the most as far as the way they divvied up the back-to-backs. As far as for the Bucks though, listen to this. When we're crunching the numbers, I think this Modus got this off of ESPN. The Bucks got 13 straight versus 500 or better squads.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's. And let me ask you this. We got screwed. They screwed the Bucks out the Christmas Day game. Listen. They screwed the Bucks out the Christmas Day. Giannis is tweeting out like, "Hey man, what's going on? Like, no Christmas Day." They give you 16 back-to-backs. We got this schedule. We got these brutal stretches. Does the league not mess with the Bucks, man? What's going on, dog?
Well, I think this thing more runs in cycles. It's cyclical, if that's the correct pronunciation. But ask and ye shall receive. So Modus gave me our record on the second game of back-to-backs, I believe, is what that record reflects. Is that right, Modus? Give me a nod if that's true.
No rest.
Yes. Okay. Second game of back-to-backs. We played 14.
Nice.
Of such games last year. What do you think our record was? Just ballpark it for me. Just take a wild guess.
9-5.
That's close. That's close. Really, really close. 10-4.
I was gonna say 10-4. You heard me say 10.
I read. I heard the mental telepathy that we have going on, father and son telepathy thing here. But no, 10-4. And so this is a team. Like I say, I mean, over the past few years, if I were IIRC. If I recall correctly.
Do people wait, is that what that means?
IIRC.
Dude. If they make the I look like an L. No, I thought that was LLRC. I didn't know. I've never known what that was. I've never known what that was all this time.
It's not Italian either. ELRC. No, it's It's IIRC. If I recall correctly, but the Bucks for the past few years have been really, really good in back-to-back games. And look, man, I'm old school. I come from the days when we played, 7 games in 3 days. You and
Sugar was just talking about that.
7 games in 3 days. Quick story on that. We're back in New York for the exhibition season. My second year in the league, Chris. We got this player from Tennessee, Chattanooga, by the name of Otis Howard. We call him Disco, because he always hung out in discos and could dance his behind off. But he's about 6'9", about 230, just a physical specimen, but country is all get out. Country, more country than Jethro Bodine, just country. And so we go to New York, and one of our guys, I think it was Lloyd Walton, mentions that we're playing a double hitter. Mm-hmm. And so Otis Howard says, "You mean we got to play 2 games? We got to play 2 games on one night. We got to play 2 games." We're like, no. We're the second game of a double hitter. We're not playing both the game anyway. I love Otis. I love Otis.
You sound like buckwheat. You sound like buckwheat.
No, that's how Otis talk. Even Chattanooga, Tennessee. That's how he talk, man. He like, hey man, we got to play 2 games, man. Man, we got to play 2 games. Come on, man. That ain't fair, man. 2 games. But anyway, that's Disco.
Go ahead. Go
but
ahead.
the point being is that so I never get over. I never have an overreaction to the good or bad of a schedule. You can break it down, and this is what we do. This is kind of, we're pundits, and we have to take a look at it and critique it and give our opinions on it. Now the thing that would bug me most is that the way we start out, and having a good start is always important. So we start out with the Sixers, and Sixers, as we know, added PG, Paul George, one of my favorite players, and Paul, two of my favorite players actually, Paul George and Caleb Martin. Caleb Martin gave us fits in the playoffs a couple of years ago, but also Eric Gordon, Andre Drummond, Reggie Jackson. They really did a good job of filling in on the margin. So we play them opening night in Philadelphia. We've got 5 games in 9 days, which is a little bit of a workload to start the season off. 5 games, and 4 of those 5 are road games. And so this team will have to get out of the gate quickly, and I have all the confidence in the world that Doc Rivers will have them prepared. But to me, I looked at that, and that's the thing that kind of jumped out at me at first. Now we got Brooklyn and Boston in a back-to-back after we play Chicago on a Friday night after we come back from Philly on that Wednesday, and then we finish up at Memphis. On a 3-game road trip. And Memphis, a Ja Morant will be back. You know what I mean? Taylor Jenkins, the coach, former Bucks assistant, he's going to have those guys prime. Jaren Jackson Jr., who I think we'll talk about this maybe down the line, but who I think could be someone you would consider for the 2028 Olympic Games in terms of the type of players you're going to need to be successful 4 years from now in Los Angeles, LA 28. But that's the thing that jumps out at me. And the back-to-backs will be arduous, will be a challenge, but again, 10-4, second leg of back-to-backs last year. So I think this team will be prepared.
Yeah, with more depth this year too. So it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, no, it will be. And now we play the Lakers, but we don't meet them until March, which was a little strange. A lot of the good Western Conference teams, we don't play until the second half of the season. And as you mentioned, let's talk about this Christmas Day situation. 6 years in a row.
Right.
I think we were in New York, I believe, last season on Christmas Day, playing the Knicks, I believe. But we were there for like a 4 or 5 day stretch. And it gives me a break because I'm kind of over New York. I used to love going to New York for a number of years, but and a guy that I share my broadcast duties with as an analyst here in Milwaukee, Steve Novak, he's Mr. New York. He does that championship belt thing, whatever that is. That he's got this thing going with the Knicks. Knicks fans love him, and so we've kind of got this, tacit arrangement that he gets to go to all those net games back east, and so
that's awesome.
Yeah, no, it's cool. It's all good. But my point is that Christmas Day, I don't know, man. I mean, Giannis expressed a little bit of emotion about it, but is it really that bad of a thing? Guys with families, these are guys older. Chris Middleton's got a family. Giannis got a family. Dame has got a family. I don't know, man. Is it really that? I know there's a lot of prestige associated with the Christmas Day game.
No, you're right. But the family thing, MJ, I mean, you make a great point when you think about that. And I think it lessens the blow when you really just sit back and look at it. Dame, Giannis, Kris, they probably would prefer to spend that day with their kids. I think from a just prestige perspective, I understand why we feel like the Bucks probably should have been on Christmas Day with a nice matchup against somebody sick, not sure who. Lakers, hey, I don't know, pay somebody there, but the Bucks are featured in rivalry week later on in the season, so there's some love there. But I just don't think. I mean, personally, I don't know. I think it's a great move. I'm glad the Bucks don't get to play on Christmas. Actually,
yeah, no. So you look at the schedule. I mean, so the Bucks, we travel to Chicago. Quick trip, jump on a bus, less than 2 hours.
You love your Chicago trip.
Well, I mean, stay at a great hotel right down in
what hotel? What hotel?
I'm not at liberty to.
I can't believe you do so much big time stuff that you don't remember what hotel you stay at in Chicago.
I remember the hotel, but I did proprietary information. I can't give it.
Oh, my bad. Oh, my bad, MJ.
We'll be sworn with fans. We'll be sworn with fans. I'll come to see the original MJ.
You're right.
I'll come to see the original MJ. Giannis, forget about Giannis and Dame Lillard.
Can you give us an idea of like just
really nice, really nice,
4-star,
6-star, bro, 6-star.
Oh. Well, don't give away the stars because it is
that's the big difference from now and when I played. Man, the accommodations for these guys are just, oh man, we play for us. A really nice hotel back in the day, like Philly, like staying at the Sheraton. Woo.
No.
Oh yeah, the Sheraton was off the hook.
Y'all didn't do the Waldorf Astoria, the
No. In New York, we stayed at a place called the Low Summit. It was like 53rd and Lexington or something like that. And to tell you how bad it was, there were broadcasters that would travel with us that told me that they wouldn't take off their socks in the hotel rooms because the carpets were so filthy, and that's how bad it was. But there were great kind of like the Stage Deli was right by there with those great corned beef and pastrami sandwiches, so that made up for a little bit. But the Low Summit wasn't terrible, but it was comparatively speaking. Now when I worked with the Sonics in the '90s. We stayed at what's the hotel overlooking Central Park? It's the house, the something house.
Soho?
No. I'll think of it in a second. But we stayed at a really nice hotel when I
Now, do you think that the quality of hotel had to do with the richness of your owner?
Well, when I was playing for the Clippers, our training camp, we stayed at the Econo Lodge.
Okay.
Well, no, but Donald Sterling might be one of the richest men in America at that time in terms of he owned more property in Beverly Hills. So I think it's more the largesse. It's more the willingness of the owner to spend some of that money. So sometimes owners like Jerry Buss. I mean, when he was with the Lakers, they traveled in the MGM private plane. They stayed at all the 4-star Ritz-Carltons and had training camp in Hawaii, Santa Barbara, exotic locations like that, right on the water, right on beachfront property. And we were down at Cal Poly Pomona, staying at the Econo Lodge.
But you were in the league, dude. I would have killed to be in that.
Is that?
No, I'm just kidding. That's just kind of like it's like it's like one man's trash, another man's treasure type of situation. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, but it was an interesting time. But anyway, so but that gets to another point that I was having a conversation with a guy that you know extremely well, one of my best friends in life, Ed Waters, who coaches at Crenshaw School, where we both attended and won championships 20 years apart. They're 2 city players of the year 20 years apart. But we were talking. I was asking him, Chris, about why he thought he's always got some great insights, but why he thought guys like LeBron, I'm kind of segueing into the Olympics now, but Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, in their mid-30s and older, can dominate the league the way they do still. And my point is that back in the day, I mean, when I got to the league, you had guys like in the mid-30s at that time, like Rick Barry, John Havlicek, Walt Frazier, Wes Unseld, Earl Monroe. Phil Jackson was playing for the New Jersey Nets at that time. He was an older dude. Norm Van Leer was a guy that was a teammate of mine. And they were pretty much done. They were pretty much done. I remember playing in an all-star game when John Havlicek retired at about 37 and 38. But Willie Knowles, my mentor and good friend, passed away a few years back, UCLA guy, played for the Knicks and the Celtics, won a championship. He was part of the first all-black starting 5 with the Boston Celtics.
He had 28 in the game that Wilt had 100.
The Wilt game, he had 28. In that game, Wilt had 100 points. Willie Knowles used to have these great all-star games in the summertime. And the money went to sponsor his Soulville Foundation that provided camps for inner city kids. He did the
Awesome.
Camp Clutch. He did a thing called Camp Clutch, Chris, when I was in high school. And guess who was the main guy involved with Camp Clutch? Jerry Muggin West. It was Jerry West was there every day. Sure. But I couldn't go. I couldn't go. Coach West from Crenshaw wouldn't let me go because he said my parents made too much money as school teachers. So the scholarships or whatever went to some of the guys that were single parent homes. Which neither here nor there. But so that's Willie Knox. But Willie had a game my second year in the league. John Havlicek had just retired. And so the game was billed as I saw Hondo's last game. And John Havlicek was on board. We played it at the Forum. So here's Hondo. And here's the story. So I'm second year, 22, 23, first team All-Pro, 26 points a game when you round it up like we need to do, 25.6, but 26 points per game. First team All-Pro, top 5 in the world. Top 5 in the world, 22, 23 years old. Nice. And so I'm going against John Havlicek. And the point is talking about these guys who, when they're 36, 37,
sure.
You just had, but here's the story. So we're at the Forum. It's sold out. I saw Hondo's last game. It's in the middle of the summertime. I'm coming down, Chris, on like a 2-on-1. John Havlicek is the lone defender.
Damn.
He's backpedaling, kind of stumbling. He was never the most athletic guy in the world anyway. He's backpedaling, kind of stumbling. And I'm about to take off from the dotted.
Come on,
Chris,
man.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't dunk. I couldn't dunk on. I was in LA. All my homies. I had all the momentum. I had my gather step all down. But when I just saw helpless Hondo backpedaling like I thought about all those great Celtic teams, how much I revered this guy growing up, how much I love John Havlicek, Chris. I love John Havlicek. And I couldn't do it. And I wound up just jumping up and finger rolling it, and a lot of my boys were like, man, why did you dunk on that dude, man? Why did you dunk on that fool? I'm like, man, that's John Havlicek. That's John Havlicek. That's the kind of respect I have for him.
But MJ, I respect you and the killer that you were, that you refrained. Do you remember that time I dunked on you at the Wooden Center? I in the same exact situation. Listen, I dunked it. I said, forget all this not dunk. You don't remember that? When I took off from the dotted on your
Of course I remember.
Hey, I'm dunking that. Forget that Hondo stuff because you was in the same position. Look, you had neck surgery. You was going through a bunch of stuff. But I had to take that opportunity because of what
rotund behind coming in. The last thing I thought you were going to do on that play, I remember it was on a regular court or on the middle court. It seemed like it was in the middle court. It was in the middle court. It was the middle court. See, I remember exactly. It was that middle court. You're coming down. I'm kind of laying back like, I'm getting ready to glove this rotund round mound or rebound. Part 2, I'm about to glove this, and you came in and threw that thing down, and that was the first time. Were you going into the 10th? You were in the 10th at that time. We were going to the 10th.
I was going to the 11th.
Going to the 11th. So you just finished the 10th grade at Montclair Prep High School, and and so that.
Shoot, I might have been a freshman. I think
you're going into the 10th. I think you're going into the 10th. I was heading into that first team all CIF year. But anyway, and how old were you at that point in time when you dunked?
15.
You were 15. So I was, and Monas and I were talking about this earlier. My first dunk was at Dorsey High School. Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't really. Let me rephrase that. When I first knew I could dunk, was at Dorsey High School, my 10th grade year. I was 14 years old. Had on some street shoes. We'd have a shoot around at lunchtime before we played that afternoon, right? And so we were in the gym, everybody messing around, and a couple of guys, David Mosley and some of these leapers we had on our team, they're up all above the rim dunking. So they challenged me. Yeah, Marques, see if you could dunk. I'm 14, never really thought about it and tried to dunk in front of anybody before. Maybe tried, but got hung on the rim. But this time, Chris, this is probably January, the latter part of the season after my legs were strong. You know what I mean? I played the whole season, and my legs were live. And so I walk up to the basket in these 3/4 high dress shoes, broke in type shoes. Yeah, they dress shoes. They were sweet too.
Like what? Like some old Bruno Magli's?
Black, yeah, but tie ups, but cover my ankles, ankle high. They were sweet. my faux suede coat, a fake suede coat that cost about $30. My parents got from Los Angeles Street downtown on a good deal. But anyway, I had this outfit on, but I go up, man, and I walk up to the basket, and I get up so high that I dunked the ball off the back of the rim, off the heel, and it doesn't go in. But I'm up so high, everybody's like, "Whoa!" And that was the first time when I actually knew I could dunk. And then in the backyard on the court that my dad had built for me in Los Angeles, I think I wound up dunking a lot back then. So I was like 14, almost 15 years. I turned 15 in February. This was like January, so it was almost like 15.
And the thing about that dunk, Dad, I gotta like it makes me sound like a jerk because I
You
was
going
like,
back
I'm
to the
dunking on my
dunk
dad.
again? You going
But
back
look,
to that
but look,
dunk?
nah, because I could never stop thinking about it. Because the thing was, I want everyone to know. You remember you didn't let me win for about like 9 years between the ages of like, well, no, for about what was it, about 12 to about 19, so about 7 years. Like we played 1-on-1 thousands of games. This guy never let me win one game. Literally, not one
Why would
game
I?
I won.
Why would I?
So for me, taking out some of my ultimate frustration against you was that dunk, was that
Yeah.
play, and then being physical with you all the time. That's the only thing I can do to get you back. But besides that, I have another story about the dunk. Do you remember when the Collins twins were seventh graders at Montclair Prep with me, Jason and Jaron? Do
Yeah,
you
yeah.
remember that?
They used to have these cute little sweatshirts. One was the shark, and one was the
Yep.
cobra. They would have
Yep.
these diagrams
That's
of
how
a
you
shark
told
and
the
a cobra.
difference. That's how you
Yeah,
tell
yeah,
the difference
yeah.
between.
The shark and the cobra. I still tease them about that today. But go
Hey,
ahead.
but so they're seventh graders. So at nutrition, which is like recess and lunch, your buddy, Coach Bob Webb, he would like allow us to. He give us a couple basketball, and we do this like dunk game where we put the Collins twins under the basket. They were six
Right.
four at the time as seventh graders. We put them under the basket. Everybody will line up around half court. There, we just go in and try to dunk on the Collins, and the Collins would try to block our dunks. And so that was sort of on the Montclair, that first rim, as you know, is a little low. That for me was like my first kind of experience with getting dunks off at a consistent level. The Collins twins were there in seventh grade.
Yeah, no, that's something. And for me, I mean, in terms of dunking consistently, so I went to Dorsey 10th grade, and then I had an appendectomy between my 10th and 11th grade years when I transferred to Crenshaw. And so I'm out for
Whoa.
6 weeks, bad shape, whatever, kind of get around myself back into decent shape. I play in the Joe Weekly Run, Shoot, and Dunk League, and I'm getting dunked on by David Airplane Payne and a bunch of other dudes that were just LA legends back in those days. And I can remember coming down on Sidney Wicks and Curtis Rowe, and they were kind of laying back like I was laying back on that dunk you did against me, and I caught them. I caught them both just with two hands. They both jumped. I kind of powered it through, and the crowd went crazy. And that's when I first knew I had arrived. Now, I say all that to say, there was an article about NBA players at the Olympics talking about their first dunks. And I think everybody was around 14. LeBron, what, 14 or 15. How old do you think Bam Adebayo was when he first dunked?
Well, I mean,
What's an impressive age? What's an uber impressive age?
well, we got to go Shea. We got to go when you talk about uber impressive ages of dunking. You got to go Shea Cotton. I saw Shea Cotton
Okay,
dunk at 12,
12 years
12
old.
years old. So 12 years old for me is like, okay, this guy's sick.
Right. Okay.
So
So
how
DeMar
old was
DeMar
Bam?
DeMar DeRozan, DeMar dunked at 12, and DeMar, he credited his. People don't remember DeMar DeRozan, in
Yeah,
AAU ball before he got to USC
high
and became
flyer,
this efficient scorer. He was the dunk. He win every single dunk contest.
high flyer.
And he was good friends with Master P's son. Who was his boy? Little Romeo. Who did he hang out
Oh
with?
yeah. That was on
Yeah,
the set. That was
yeah.
tight. Yeah, that was tight.
Little Romeo, Master P sponsored his AAU team, and I think Little Romeo
Facts.
wound up at USC. But Lamar dunked at 12 years old, and he credited calf raises. When I asked him about his hops, his freshman year when I was working Fox Sports doing whatever it was, 10, 12, whatever, Pac-12 games at that time, Pac-10 games, he told me it was toe raises. But getting back to Bam Adebayo, Bam said he dunked at 11 years old.
That's wild. That's wild. I wonder how old that dude. I wonder how old that dude that dunked on LeBron from France. I wonder how old he started dunking at because that dude
You,
was a
you
monster. Did you see
Yabusele,
it, or did Clutch? Or did Clutch scrub it from the internet? Were you
no, no,
asleep
no,
during the
no.
game?
I saw,
Because
I, I
you
saw
had
the
to
game.
watch it.
I
because
saw the game.
I can't find the video. I can't find the video anywhere. Like
you said, Coach. You said, Rich Paul, put the crew in motion. You get rid of that thing. It's nowhere to be found. Yeah,
Dad, it's the meme they do. They post a picture of like a bunch of SUVs, like Escalades, and they have like clutch written on. They have clutch written. The SUVs is pulling up.
Yeah.
So that's the meme about that video. So it's funny stuff. We're all joking. We're joking.
Yabusele, is that his name? But he played with the Celtics. I remember him a few years back when he was with the Celtics, and so that gets me to another point. Let's put a button on period on this Olympic experience. Congratulations to the U.S. A few days back they win the gold and all that, and great job, really good game against the French team. But it was the old heads. It was the old heads that carried them. That was my original point. That back in my day when guys got to be 36, 37, they were done. Rick Barry was done. Walt Frazier, Clyde was done. Wes Unseld, Elvin Hayes was still good. Elvin Hayes was first team All Pro. My second year when I made first team All Pro, but he's like 33, 34. He was still really good. Earl Monroe done. But why are guys able, Chris, to dominate? Has the league been diluted a bit, or is it more that these guys, as Ed Waters, my original point, the coach of Crenshaw, was saying that these guys, they own a whole LeBron $1 million a year taking care of his body, the shoes, the technology, the medical advances.
Combination of things. So combination of things. When you're looking at Steph, you're looking at LeBron, you're looking at KD, you're looking at three of the most elite athletes that have taken care of their bodies that we've ever seen. And KD's got to be in there too, because although he has had some injuries, he has a pretty solid record over 17, 18 years in the league. Steph, same way. LeBron, obviously 22 years. That's part of it, right? Having spending all the money. Another part is also the amount of just working smarter. Yeah, MJ, working smarter. I mean, you can attest to. I don't know. Maybe it was different in when you were playing with Nelly, as far as how much you guys practice during the season.
Let me hold it. Let me cut you off right there. My first 2, maybe 3 years with the Milwaukee Bucks, and people think I'm exaggerating when I say this, but this is the honest to God truth. We had 30 days of two-a-days. Every single day, even on game days, we practiced that morning, would play that evening. But we had 30 days of two-a-days. Now, eventually he cut it back to like 2 weeks and then a week. But then it was 30 straight days, hard, 10 to 12, and then come back at like 5 to 7 or 6 to 8 in the evening. But talk about, talking about wearing your body down. Can you imagine that, man? But
MJ, you think I know this 100%? I have the old Milwaukee Bucks training camp entire portfolio manifesto, a big old folder like this with Nelly's handwriting.
I've been looking for that, man.
I got it. And so I always look at the practice plan. I always see what time it was with y'all, and y'all was on some other. And so my point is this: so you got the taking care of their body, spending tons of money, the lesson of the load, as they talk about nowadays. Yeah. Guys don't practice that much in the NBA. It's like one of the craziest things I ever heard of. But you hear the practices, they're just not practicing as much as you think, right? So that part of it, and then also the work smarter, work harder. But then also there's also but organically, guys in this era eat better. They probably drink less. They're probably there's more education about the ills and things associated with dissipation when it comes to an athlete, things you shouldn't be doing, things that are going to screw you up. And I think that guys now are able to elongate the career because of all that, man. It's all that stuff. It's not just one or the other. I think all of it has something to do with it.
Well, and that brings me to another funny story. So I'm with the Bucks probably 3 years ago. We're on the bus after a game, and our performance director, a great guy, Dr. Troy Flanagan, he's sitting in front of me. So he says, Marques, he's from Australia, Marques with the Australian accent. What did you always do back in your day to rehydrate after games? I said, well, Troy, we first of all sit in the sauna and drink about 10, 12 beers. Then I
Oh
might
my
smoke a
God,
pack and a half of cigarettes, Winston filtered cigarettes, and then
dude,
do a little bit of this,
that's
a little bit of that, and literally Dr. Troy is like, stop, I can't take it, stop, please, no more, please, stop, please stop, Marcus, no, don't say anymore, please, no more.
dude,
You did that to your
dude,
bodies? I was like, hey,
dude,
but like you're saying, we didn't. That was our way of unwinding,
bro,
man.
bro.
You sit in the sauna, me and my boys, Sid and Ernie Grunfeld, and a few of us, not
Oh, you
everybody, but
throwing these dudes under the bus?
no. You sit in the sauna, but the Bucks were sponsored by Miller High Life.
Miller Lite, dude.
No,
Can
High
I
Life.
tell
So
you about this,
you had the short dogs, little short dogs. I'm talking about short dogs. So
bro?
let
Can
me
I
take
tell you about that,
10 short dogs. We didn't drink the regular size beers, like the little short dogs, but we drink
bro?
about
Can I
eight
tell
to
you
10.
about that? Can I tell you about why I know this? That you were sponsored by Miller High Life. Do you remember my first time that I met Dr. J at the Mecca, the old Mecca in the visitors locker room? I walked in that mug, man. He's sitting in the dang ice tub,
Yeah,
butt ass naked, with two of the small boys. I,
yeah,
I
yeah.
remember. Then he gets up, and get out. I'm like, ah! It's like traumatized
So no,
forever.
wrong fingers, but God, Jesus, Doc, no, anaconda. No. Anyway, yeah, but it was a different day, and now
It
these
was.
guys are doing the bloods thing where they spin the blood.
Yes.
They spin the blood around and put it in your knee and
Yeah,
all this great.
I had that go to Germany. I had that.
Yeah,
I didn't go to Germany, but they do that procedure in Germany. D Wade, Kobe, they have
yeah,
so much more advancements, MJ,
yeah,
that
yeah,
will elongate how long you can run on those legs,
yeah,
how long your wind is go hold up, and you still operating like a 21-year-old. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Versus, so a lot of
Well,
it's technology too.
but and also, I mean, the shoes. So I wore pro model Adidas, and I started
Those are
out with
nasty.
Beta Bullets. Talk about nasty. Beta Bullets were tough to wear. I had these canvas Beta Bullets, but they were paying me a lot of money. So my guy
What was a
hooked me
lot of
up with.
money? What was a lot of money back
Oh
then?
man, I mean, it's like 125K a year. I mean, Beta Bullets was
What?
good. Yeah,
Back then?
yeah, Beta
Oh, that's
Bullets.
killer. The
About
Beta
100
Bullets,
Beta Bullet
dog.
125, and I was only making like 120 with the Bucks at that time. So
Damn.
they wanted me to be like the face of Beta Bullets. But and I wanted to be the face, but I just couldn't wear the shoe. The shoe was, and the same thing with who else did I try to go with? I think, was it Pony or was it no? It was Puma. It was Puma. I tried to wear Pumas. Puma was paying big money back in the day, and I just couldn't do it, man. I wore them like 2 or 3 games, and they just hurt my feet, and I had to go back to my Adidas. Went back to my pro model shell toe Adidas, Chris. But the shell toe Adidas, I mean, the sole was probably less
I
than
hated those.
an eighth of an inch thick or something. You know,
Dude, I can't believe you played in those.
yeah. And then I took it another level because Norm Nixon, good buddy of mine, who's playing for the Lakers, we worked out and played against each other in the summers. He kind of hit me to wearing low tops, just in terms of being lighter and quicker. So I'd wear shell toe low tops, and
Yeah.
Norm wouldn't get taped. He would do all these great yoga. We were really big into yoga back in those days. So Norm would do all these great ankle stretching, strengthening
Sure.
exercises to get his ankles really strong. So he never got taped. Now I couldn't go to that point, but I started going with the lows and all that. So it was just a different era, and that's why. But also look at this, man. I look at how the young players back in my day. So when I came in the league, it was me, Bernard King, and Walter Davis, 3 top rookies. Walter Davis was first rookie of the year. I was second. Bernard King was third. But I averaged dang near 20 and 10, like 19.6,
19.
0.6, 0.7, that's 20, and 10.8 rebounds, so 20 and 11. But
Unbelievable. Unbelievable
but
rookie year.
but but but
56% shooting from the
and
field.
I didn't win. Malcolm Brogdon won Rookie of the Year for the Milwaukee Bucks, averaging 12 points a game. But that was one of those down years. I think Dario Saric was his main competition, but whatever. But that my rookie year, 1977, look it up.
That's
I averaged almost
incredible.
20 and 11 rebounds a game, 102 block shots, shot a great percentage.
Yo, that's what I remember. You had a block a game, over a block a
Yeah.
game.
Walter
That was
Davis.
beastly at the small forward.
Walter Davis averaged
Yeah, he was
24.2.
murking.
Bernard King averaged 24 point. They came in as rookies, And you don't see that. You know what I mean? I said,
Wait,
what is that?
how did Bernard King finish third? That's crazy.
Yeah, well,
That's testament to you.
Yeah, and he was with the New Jersey Nets at that time, and they were losing.
Oh, they were nasty.
The Bucks. We had the big turnaround, and I was just, I was.
How many games? How many games like more did y'all win from the year you came?
I think we won like 26 or 27 the year before. We won like 44. We were like 44 and 38.
Ooh, 18.
My rookie. We had a nice turnaround. We had a nice turnaround. But the point is that the young guys came in hot back in those days. You don't see that as much. I'm trying to think of some young players.
I'll give you the guy. Give me the guy. All right, for Dub, 20 points a game, rookie.
Yeah,
is that what we're looking for?
Yeah, just coming in hot like that.
Tyreek Evans.
LeBron came
Evans.
In. Okay.
Tyreek Evans must say 20 points per game, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Tyreek came in as a rookie and did that. LeBron, 20 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. LeBron came in and did that. I think Melo, 21.
Melo
that year? Melo came in with 21 that year? Okay. Yeah, and who else? Victor? Victor was what? 20?
Wembanyama. Yeah, was he? Was he at 20? 20? Yeah. But I'm saying, they have 3 guys. 24. The 20 flirted with the 2021. But these dudes came in dropping 24.
Mona should tell us what Chet averaged because it's sick, Dad. There's no mistaking that. It's sick.
Yeah. But my point is that so now you look at the background. So I played 4 years at UCLA, 3 Final Fours in 4 years. Bernard King, Tennessee, tough conference, given serious numbers. Walter Davis, North Carolina, the ACC, played 4 years. So I just think it's a difference in terms of guys coming in. It is a difference. Guys coming in more prepared to contribute on this level. And the NBA was easier than college basketball if you have the kind of game that translates to the NBA like myself and Walter and Bernard did. Just great mid-range scorers. People don't
understand that concept.
So quickly back to the Olympics and Raymond Ritter, the great media relations director for the Golden State Warriors. Raymond has just been a treasured resource and friend for a number of years. But Raymond came out with a great stat on Steph. You remember the last 247 of that game against France, gold medal game. Steph, 4 3-pointers. 11,000 plus games for Steph in his career. How many times do you think he's knocked down 4 threes in the last 2 minutes and 47 seconds of a game?
Yeah, it's probably the first time knowing the stat.
Well, but just one other time. One other time. He had only done that one other time throughout his illustrious career. So that's
I mean, that was an otherworldly experience. I mean, when you're sitting there watching, and you're feeling what you're feeling, like we're about to take an L, because it really felt like we're going to lose that game. And Steph just kind of, man, I hate to say does what Steph does because he does. I mean, he just got into that bag. You remember that highlight of Steph against like Oklahoma City where he's like hitting the half court shot. He hits like 3 shots in the last like few minutes. Mike Breed's like bang, bang. Yeah. It was like, it reminded me of that sort of just, he's in the zone. NBA Jam, old school, that ball is on fire. Everything he's throwing up is going in.
Greatest shooter in NBA history?
Yeah, man.
Hands down.
Let's not play with Steph. One thing we can't do is play with Steph's name anymore. Okay, it's done. He's that guy. Like, he's the greatest shooter that the world has ever seen. Period. Yeah, I mean, I don't know who. I mean, are we taking into account like other guys? Are we saying greatest shooter in the sense that he's the best player that was the greatest shooter? Because if you got guys that have higher percentages, so Steve Kerr and 50% and legs and all these guys,
Kyle Korver,
and all these guys that hover around 50. Or what did somebody shot sick last year? But anyway. I'd say he's the best player that could shoot. I mean, he's like the greatest.
Got like 46, 47% from the three-point.
And so, but when we say, and so the question is, are the guys that we just named, do they receive the same attention as Steph? Are they getting double teamed? Is everybody trying to scheme and game plan against? Or are they guys that are nice catch and shoot off doubles? Or when guys are drawing 2?
Yeah.
Steph's a different type of. Steph's getting those 2 hands all the time. We got to look at contested threes. and stuff like that and usage, and that's why Steph's the greatest shooter. Got the ball in his hands, taking the most shots, etc.
Yeah. And so a couple of things on that. Jerica Williams is my PR person, and she's also a basketball person. Coached at Detroit Country Day High School. She coached at Windward High School, then was an assistant under Mike Davis, the great Mike Davis, who was at Indiana, coached Jared Jeffries to a Final Four back in the day. She was his assistant last year, and Mike Davis is now at Memphis with Penny Hardaway. But Jericho, so she travels with Steph as they go around doing different camps, and they got a whole thing that he does in the summertime. So she was talking about this workout that he has. He's got to make 2 in a row from the 3-point line before he can leave, and a bunch of movement and all kinds of different angles and shots. And he can normally knock it out in about 20 to 30 minutes. One day he was struggling. He got up to like 48 and then missed a couple in a row. So he had to start all over again. He's got to make 50. And she said it took him like 2 hours. 2 hours to finish his drill, but he went full speed the whole time. And not only went full speed, Chris, but did it with a passion and a joy and a zest and a zeal for the game that was just remarkable. And so that tells you a lot about him. And I look at his backstory as a guy that wasn't heavily recruited coming out of high school. I just heard something in a podcast. He didn't play AAU ball for about a 4 or 5 year stretch. He played up until he was about 13 and took about 3 or 4 years off because, the guys were just bigger and stronger and he couldn't hang. And so I just think he's got such an appreciation, for the success he's had, the greatness he's acquired through hard work. You don't fall out of bed being able to shoot the ball the way he shoots it. So that's the lesson to people out there. It's not, Dale Curry, great shooter. His brother, Seth, whatever his name is, great shooter. But you don't fall out of bed. You don't fall out of bed, man, being able to do the things, not only his shooting, but his ball handling. You've seen some of those ball handling drills that he does and what he's able to do on the floor. So I've just got the utmost of respect for him, and just great to see him perform the way he did. Now, brings me to
did he
go ahead. Did he what?
Wanted to know, did
he dunk on his daddy at the Wooden Center? No, he didn't. He had more respect with father than that. Go ahead.
Did he deserve the Olympic MVP?
LeBron won it, right? Because of LeBron won the award. I don't know. LeBron was.
But did Steph deserve it? I don't care who won it. Did Steph deserve it?
Yeah.
In your opinion?
No, LeBron. I thought LeBron. I mean, I feel the same way I felt about the Cavaliers year they came back from 3-1, and Kyrie had the 40-point games. He should have been the MVP. LeBron led the team in like 5 or 6 different statistical categories, points per game, rebounds, assists, blocks, steals. He was number 1. So LeBron's play in the Olympics, you don't win the Olympics without, I think LeBron and the way he played. But Steph had, Steph struggled. Remember, Steph was struggling up until those last 2 games.
Aisha wasn't there. Aisha wasn't there yet. Aisha wasn't in Paris yet. That's why he was struggling.
Okay, but it's remarkable. How old is Steph, man? He's 36 years old. What is he now?
No, he's not that old. He's 35, right? 34? 34.
He's 2010.
2010 draft, so 18. What's that, 14? Yeah.
He's 36, man. We just got
36?
He's 36, bro. He's 36. Which brings me
36? I cannot believe that stuff.
36 years old doing it, and KD 36, I think. LeBron 39. So a couple of things we'll talk about, but before we move on, and so it got me thinking about Dame Lillard, and a great article dropped recently by Jim,
our guy,
Owczarski. I can't get his name right to save my life, but Jimmy O of the Milwaukee Journal. We've had him on, great writer. But he was out in Portland for Dame's camp, and he just talked about how he looked and his attitude and his enthusiasm for this upcoming year. And now he's got a year under his belt. He knows what to expect. So I'm thinking about Dame's season last year, Chris, and how you look at it because of the shooting numbers mainly, struggled knocking down shots consistently. Poor shooting numbers, since 2017 or something in terms of field goal percentage from the 3-point line. But
down year.
Chris, down year. Oh, without question, he'd be the first to admit it. But he averaged 24 points and 7 assists a game at age 33. How many other players? Now, and I won't even put it that way. What other players? There's been 3 guys that have done that.
Tell me.
at age 33.
I mean,
Of
let's
course,
think about it. Let's think about it. LeBron's one.
Okay, LeBron, we'll give
Because
you
it's
that.
20,
LeBron,
it's 24 and 7, right? So somebody
24
had to
points
be
and
a
7
bucket
assists.
and a dime. Somebody had to be a bucket
And
and a dime.
a bucket and a dimer. A bucket and a dime.
You got to go Oscar because he was a bucket
No,
and a dime.
nope, not
Okay.
at 33. Not at 30. No, but no, Oscar at 33 wasn't scoring 20. Yeah, he was his numbers. Jerry
What
West.
about Jerry? What about Jerry?
Jerry
Okay,
West,
I'm moving on. I'm trying to figure out the third guy.
Jerry West
Michael
gave him
Jordan.
20 foot. Jerry West gave him 26 and 10 at 33 years old.
Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan.
Nope. It didn't.
What?
Assist probably hurt him. Assist. Come on, 7 assists. 7 assists. That's a mark. This guy here you won't get, I don't think, because you're not going to believe that he averaged that many assists at that age, but he did. Last guy on the list. Three guys. It was LeBron, Jerry, and from my era,
Dr. J.
Dr. J wouldn't pass it that much. You can't get Dr. J to pass the salted breakfast. How you gonna get him to?
I can't think of any more. Bird, Larry
Legend, bro. Larry Legend averaged 24.3 and 7.5. So Dame becomes the fourth player at 33 years old in NBA history.
That's remarkable.
24 and 7. Is that crazy? And then we think about his season.
On a quote unquote down year.
On a down year. And so that just gives you that gives me even more optimism and hope in terms of what he's about to bring forth this year. He's talking about this year in that article with Jim O that he's ready. Last year he wasn't ready, but he showed up. So this year he is ready. It's about redemption. It's about not revenge, but just redeeming himself in terms of his superstar status that we all know he deserves. So much. So anyway, but quickly, go ahead.
I was going to say Jim did the damn thing with the article. I suggest everyone go out, check it out. Perfect expose.
Please.
One thing I wanted to bring up, I thought was dope, was the fact that Tyler and AJ are in the building. The Bucks rookies are in the building at the formula whatever camp that Dame's doing out there.
Yeah,
they're spending a ton of time with Dame. They're in the gym. They're getting work against whoever else they're playing against. But the fact that they're with Dame, they're getting that experience. That's a really, really positive development.
Oh man, can you imagine, man? Can you imagine the atmosphere being
so live? Because those guys are around the same age. So Tyler and them are 19. Yeah. The guys he has at the camp, they're 17, 18, 19, 20, whatever. But it's it's just a live environment. The runs at the end of the night, and I just would love to be an ear of fly on the wall, bro.
1977, going into my rookie year. Maurice Lucas invites me to his camp in Portland. He just come off a championship. Rip City Blazers. We're playing full court after the camp is over. So all the campers, like 300, 400, 500 campers sitting around. I come down on this D2 player, full court. He's running with me, Chris. I'm dribbling. We get past the free throw line. I take off 1 foot. I do a little bit of shimmy in here, and I wind up reverse dunking on this dude, man. I've never, ever had a spectacular dunk in a game situation, even though it's just a random pickup game. But it was
low
like
rim? Was
no,
the rim
regular rim, 10-foot rim.
Was it a bouncy floor? Was it a bouncy floor at Stanford?
I don't need all that, man. 40-inch standing vert, bro. But this is off the run.
I'm just messing with you. I needed all that.
Yeah.
No, remember we got sushi? Remember we got sushi with Maurice Lucas after a B of A camp? Remember me, you, Mo, Luke, we got some sushi. I told people I shared a plate of sushi with Maurice Lucas.
And me and Maurice would always get confused for each other. People call me Maurice Lucas, call me Marques Johnson.
Nicest guy in the world. Hey, one of my favorite guys of all time, dude.
Luke, Marquette University, local guy. Great college player for Al McGuire. But the thing about Luke, when we were really both Aquarius, we were really good friends. Yeah, but every time we'd step on the floor together, whether he was with Portland, whether he was with Phoenix, whether he was with Seattle, whether he was with the Lakers, the first thing this son of a gun would do, Chris, would elbow me in the chest. Okay, had to get that out the way. How you been doing? I'm like, come on, Luke, man. Why you always got to like play the strong arm with me, man? I know you better than that. So anyway, but just a tremendous guy. But to your point, Doc Rivers was also in Portland, along with AJ, along with
that's right,
Marjan. They were all out in Portland together. So Doc just being there, I think.
I didn't know that. I didn't see Doc out there. Good stuff, MJ.
Doc was at the camp also. And then
Yes,
the
sir.
video. I think I may have sent it to you. I know I reposted on Twitter of AJ working out with Paul George. That video. I mean,
I saw that.
Paul George, man, and like Paul George worked out with a great UCLA Bruin, all-time leading scorer in UCLA history, Don McClain. Paul George's first, I want to say 10 years in the league, it was him and Donnie Mack, man. They were working a lot together, but the stuff he's doing, it has superseded. I think it superseded Donnie Mack's ability to teach him some of that off the dribble stuff. Whoever he's getting it from, whoever he's getting, just the hesitation. And did you see that video? If you haven't seen it, it's on Twitter.
Yeah.
But the way he explains I never knew Paul George to be as cerebral of a basketball player as he comes off in this video. He really breaks it down beautifully for AJ Johnson to understand why he's doing things that he's doing. And that's so important, especially for young players. So I believe AJ is going to benefit from the camp with Dame, from the workouts with Paul George. It's really going to help him. But finally, let's talk about this, and then we're going to be done. Dream Team 92 versus the current iteration. I'm standing at my spot, Simply Wholesome, waiting for my soul food Wednesday night meal that I get on Wednesday nights in LA. And this brother's in front of me, and he's like, "What do you think about the Olympics?" I'm like, "Well, the old heads came through." No, not that. I mean, who's better, Dream Team or the 92 or these guys? And you kind of caught me off guard. But, man, I can't. I just, between Charles Barkley, David Robinson, Chris Mullin, Patrick Ewing, and I haven't started with Michael, Larry, and Magic yet. John Stockton. I mean, I don't know, man. Call me just old school at heart, man. But the 92 Dream Team just stood for so much, meant so much in terms of basketball, worldwide, internationally, basketball. It's hard for me to say that. And even just tangibly on the court, who would win a game if you could conceivably, match these two teams up? Who would win that game? Who would win that game in your mind?
I mean,
all things being equal, training, everything being equal.
Well, if everything's equal, it's 92, but everything's not equal. And so, you got to look at where everybody was in their careers, and you got to look at their performance. And so some stats have got to come into play. And you just talked about how the guys back in your day, when you hit a certain age, a la Bird, a la Magic, in that Olympics, they weren't, they were cool, but as far as performance, I'm speaking performance, their effect on basketball globally is unmatched. The fact that they were there, that team stands for what it stands for historically. But make no mistake about it, before 92, let's not act like there wasn't beasts and whips of leagues in Italy, Spain, Greece, and France. There were high-level Americans all over Europe playing in big-time leagues, winning championships from Mike D'Antoni, McAdoo, their crew, in Milan, winning championships to France and Limoges and all these, Michael Ray Richardson. He wasn't with Limoges, but all these, it's high-level guys. I just hate this idea that team set it off in a sense, globally. I know they set it off globally, but why would that team be the ones to set it off, MJ, when basketball was already pretty live? Oscar Schmidt had already been giving dudes 50.
Yeah.
How come it's the Dream Team 92 that took basketball into the next thing? Was it more of a David Stern globalization plan? Or why?
It's the first time that we were able to put our best. Remember, that's the first time the NBA.
What about 72? But what about 72? Oh, so that was the first time the NBA?
That was the first time. 72 was like Mike Bantam and Doug Collins.
Yeah. So they never sent NBA. They never sent NBA. We know. Oh, my bad. Okay, my bad.
It was college. and college. And so, 76. 76, the year I boycotted. 76, kind of supporting the African nations and apartheid and all that thing.
Gil Scott Heron.
But Gil Scott Heron, right. What's the word? Johannesburg. It was 76. It was Quinn Buckner, Scott May, Adrian Dantley, Walter Davis. I mean, it was like an East Coast mafia thing. So it was,
Yeah, obviously.
Steve the Bear Shepherd from Maryland. He was on that team. That's a name for you right there.
Yes.
Google him. But anyway, and then in '80, there was the boycott year, and we actually played against some of the Olympians in a roving kind of exhibition deal, just because Jimmy Carter, whoever was Jimmy Carter president, we boycotted.
No.
Whoever it was, we boycotted boycotted in 1980, and then in '84 was a Michael Jordan, blah blah blah, DDD. So it was always college
David
guys.
Robinson?
Yeah, it was always college guys. David Robinson was on the Dream Team too. So it was always college guys. This '92 was the first year Barcelona. We threw out our best, and to that point, that's why Charles Barkley's making $20 million a year right now, because he stole the show in those Olympic games. If you remember, he was the guy. He elbowed the Angolan. He elbowed the Angolan. They wanted him to stay. They wanted him to stay in the Olympic Village. He's like, hey, I'm in the Olympics. I'm in Spain. I'm gonna stay in my room. I'm going out. And he went out every night. Had a throng of people following him around. So it was just. But we sent our best. The first year we sent our best, and that was the difference.
So as somebody made a point that in the '92 Olympics, there were only a total of 20-something NBA players, whereas this year there's 60 something as far as the total of NBA players.
I give it to you. I give the resourceful Monas Khan gave it to me. The '92 season, 5% of the NBA was foreign born, 23 players from 18 countries. This is '92. Last season, 125 foreign born players from 40 countries, about 28%. So in those '92 Olympics, there were 12 players that had NBA experience across non-USA, the non-USA teams. So only 12 guys that played.
Not even 20.
Yeah, not even 20. So the competition. So in 2024, there were 69 dudes in the Olympics that had NBA experience. So the quality of competition, obviously, a lot better, and even more than that, just the allure, the intimidation of the NBA, and it's gone. It's I think LeBron still has it. Steph may have it. KD, but for the most part, these guys
I don't think nobody has it. I don't think nobody has it.
Okay. Yeah.
They was hunting them guys. They hunting LeBron. They hunting Steph. They are not tripping. They're making them guys defend. They're not. Nobody's tripping anymore, especially after the U.S. lost and got the bronze and Puerto Rico smashed us a couple of years in a row. Nobody's Baron Davis, that team. Nobody's tripping no more.
Well, it ain't football. It ain't football. You don't get to come out after you play offense and let the defense come. You got to play both. You got to play both ways. But anyway, that's it out of us here at District Man. We're excited. NBA schedule is out. The Bucks schedule is out, and that means we're getting close to the season tip-off, and we're having such a great time at the Here District, the fantastic voyage, Marques Johnson, Kris Johnson. So next week, man, we're going to have more stuff coming right at you. Here District, check us out.
Peace.
This has been a Bucks Plus audio production.